this year to make a wager, it's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Talk about your freshman year at Alabama and even the redshirt year that got you ready to perform at the highest level.
You had to learn a lot about humility, about being patient to play at Alabama. And you still knew that you're going to have a shot to win a championship every year. And so that's the line. And so I think that's what's really missing with today's football. You got NIL, you got social media.
The Early Line, only on Sports.
Welcome into Game Time Decisions here on SportsGrid TV. Kasey Hudson hanging with you for the next 2 hours, and it feels like it's been a long time since I've been hanging out with y'all on Game Time Decisions. We had a lot of excitement the past 2 weeks. Obviously, the NFL officially getting underway. We're already in week 2, and as you know, football fans, this just comes and goes like that, and it'll be Super Bowl time, and hopefully we are not disappointed with that matchup. But there's already been a lot of things shaken up in the NFL world, starting with news that came out roughly an hour ago. CMC will not be on the field for week 2. This was anticipated to potentially be a situation to take place. We did see him try to take some reps in practice. The Niners initially mentioned that they were just kind of limiting his reps. He was feeling things through. He said that things were not feeling too rough. He felt comfortable and confident that he'd have the chance to power through, but we heard this in week 1, all the way up until through warm-ups before getting that last-minute bomb dropped, that he was not going to be in week 1, and now it is confirmed he will not be playing in week 2. We've got the Niners taking on the Vikings, a Vikings team that I don't want to call it surprising. It was the Giants that they beat, but they beat them in pretty incredible and healthy form and fashion. So a lot to expect out of that matchup. We do know that the Niners will continue to be dominant, but the Vikings could possibly be surprising in what they bring to the table. Healthy offensive line, Sam Darnold with something to prove, top wide receiver in the league, and the list goes on and on. So maybe a more exciting matchup than originally anticipated. As the news continues to roll through when it comes to the NFL and week 2, if you did not join myself, Adam Kaufman, Tom Vecchio, and Dave Sherpin for the pregame party for NFL Thursday Night Football, I don't know what you're doing. That's what you should be doing every time that there is an NFL game, because we give you all of the lines, the odds, we break down first half, we come back at you at halftime. But all that spieling aside, last night, obviously a big game, a game that was anticipated to be a lot more exciting heading into the matchup. The Bills going down to South Florida to take on the Miami Dolphins, coming out on top 31-10. But as Tua tried to make a drive, or a run up the middle, I should say, kind of lowered his head in his helmet and made some uncomfortable impact when he went down on the field. You initially kind of saw some strange movement in his hands and his legs. Luckily, he did get up. He did appear to be limping off the field, but that brings a lot of things into question. We know that Tua has kind of narrowly escaped a couple concussions back-to-back in the previous seasons, and this already raised a lot of questions in terms of him coming back, his longevity in the NFL, and what his career was going to look like. things appeared to be better for him. His health appeared to be in top form. He went through a full season last year without any craziness. And then, unfortunately, after last night, the question rears back in mind, can this guy play in the NFL? Or more importantly, should he play in the NFL? A couple of voices have kind of come about throughout the day, kind of saying what they would do in his particular situation. I would say head coach from the Raiders, Antonio Pierce, mentioned that if it were him, he would just retire. And this is kind of a tough debate to have because when you're an NFL player, depending on your background or regardless, you have a family. This is your way of creating an income. This is your way of putting food on the table. This is a tough thing to walk away from with the pressure of providing for your family or yourself. But on top of that, walking away from a game that you have put years and blood and sweat and tears and sacrifice into. So it's going to be interesting to see what Tua decides to do here, regardless of what the medical results come out to be, whether he's cleared to play eventually throughout this season. The bigger question is, should he, and where do the Dolphins go from here? Outside of them falling short to the Bills last night, 31-10, this is going to change some things in the market. When you're looking at where the Miami Dolphins were standing in terms of heading into this season, there was a lot more hope. I know that I've said it here on SportsGrid TV. I thought the Dolphins earned a lot more respect on their name. I felt like they made quality moves in the offseason. They didn't have to do anything crazy with their bank account. But to put it this way, to win the AFC East, they went from plus 180 to plus 450. Then to make the playoffs, this went from minus 215 to plus money value of 120. To win the AFC, they went from plus 1,000 to 12-1 odds. And then to win the Super Bowl, went from plus 1,200, to 2,000 to 2,500. So we've seen immediate movement the minute that results came through, or the impact of Tua leaving the field, Skylar Thompson then taking the helm. We've seen Thompson before have to help this team out. We've seen him in high-pressured games. We've seen him in a playoff game. You've got weapons that can definitely suit Thompson, but still, you've got a lot of change up in that quarterback room and the expectation and how Thompson's going to be able to use a guy like Tyreek Hill and Waddle and company. And we saw the Miami Dolphins execute really just one plan last night, which did not work out for them. So they're going to have to take a lot of things back to the drawing board. But most importantly, we're hoping that Tua is healthy. We're hoping that things end up not being so detrimental. And most importantly, we hope that there's probably an easier decision to be made here in terms of what his career is going to look like and if he's going to be able to return to this team and help them out. Outside of the Miami Dolphins, the line movement and Tua's health. Like we said, we've got Christian McCaffrey, who is officially out, if you guys missed that at the top of the segment. But going from the NFL to some college football, it is Friday night. It's a Freaky Friday if you are into Friday the 13th. I feel like I kind of dressed for the occasion. The only thing I know about Jason is what comes off the ice. But for the football games going on tonight, a little college football action. We've got UNLV taking on Kansas. Really a big night for Kansas State. Then we've got Arizona taking on Kansas State. This is probably one of the bigger games that I'd cue in on for a number of reasons. If you watch college football today here on SportsGrid TV, if you keep up with Ben and all of the college football rundowns, then you know that Kansas State is an exciting team to talk about because Mr. Gatorade and the hair for days, quarterback Avery Johnson is going to be trying to make up for some weird things that took place versus Tulane. Tulane was a great game for Kansas State to kind of see where their performance lies. They needed to see how well they would work on the road. They needed to see how well they can put together their game plan for 4 full quarters. They didn't show up until the second half, but they rallied for a massive comeback versus Tulane. So what does that mean for tonight's matchup? That more so means that while Arizona isn't particularly known for their football, they're not a football school. They are 2-0 to start the season. They are 0-2 against the spread, though. So think of that. And then 1-1 for overs and unders. Arizona leads the all-time series 5-1-1. And U of A beat Kansas State 31-0 in their last meeting. But get this last meeting was back in 1978. I'm guessing a lot of things changed between 2024 and 1978, and I'm hoping Mr. Gatorade is probably one of those most impactful changes when it comes to this matchup. Now, as for Arizona, we can't count them out. Both of these teams are led by sophomore quarterbacks that have a lot to prove, but when it comes to Fifietta, he has already sitting at 595 passing yards. More importantly, his touchdown to interception ratio is sitting at 5-2. this guy is pretty high volume. So it's going to be a pretty large workload for Kansas State's defense, a defense that we saw that needed a lot of time to adjust versus Tulane last week. They're not going to have that much time versus Arizona, especially when Arizona's sophomore quarterback is airing out the ball to wideout that's 6'5". McMillan is a huge target for his quarterback, not to mention through 2 games, he's already caught 10 passes for 304 receiving yards and 4 tutties. Arizona's going to want to carry that momentum into this matchup. Not to mention, a point where Kansas State can kind of take advantage is the fact that Arizona's front men on defense are all particularly new. They can kind of create some mistakes there. They can kind of be a little bit more problematic. We'll see how well Avery Johnson can kind of toss off the defense with his eyes. So a lot of things to keep an eye on heading into this matchup. I've already said it, Mr. Gatorade, before. Not only is he good with his arm, 334 yards on 29 for 44 passing, 65.9 completion rate, but even cleaner in the pocket, 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, 6 straight 100 rushing yard games on his resume as well. That screams dual quarterback any way that you slice it. So we got a lot more to get into. We've got a lot of guests rolling through from SportsGrid, from George Kurtz to Joe Madden to Dave Sharapin. So you're not going to want to go anywhere. We got a lot in this rundown. Stick with us here on Game Time Decisions as we roll through the MLB slate, more college football, week 2 of the NFL, WNBA, and so much more. Go nowhere. We got a quick break coming up here on SportsGrid TV.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was Lincoln! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing.
They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go! That's what champions do.
Welcome back into Game Time Decisions here on SportsGrid TV. As we mentioned, we've got a lot to get into on this Freaky Friday, but more importantly, an MLB slate where we have to get the best opinion, finally get a chance to chat with George Kurtz again, SportsGrid's very own Megamind for breaking down all things MLB and everything else. We've got 4 games that are getting ready to get started within the next, I'd say, 20-ish minute. But George, how are you? How have you been? It's been weeks.
I'm doing well here. It's almost my favorite time of year, right? We got NFL going here and Major League Baseball playoffs start soon. I'm a big hockey guy. We got that going on in 3 weeks here. So we're getting close to what my equinox would be.
Oh, I'm right there with you. It's starting to feel kind of fallish. I don't get fall in Florida. And then it feels like Halloween, but maybe because it's Friday the 13th. And most importantly, you said it. We all know I'm a hacky gal, and it's getting very close. We got rookie camp going on all day today, but we can get into all of that later. I know that everybody wants to know where they should, protect their purse when it comes to MLB tonight. We got some guys making appearances that haven't been in the mix in a while. As for games that are getting started off the top here, we do have the Royals versus the Pirates. Royals needing their lineup to rally behind Marsh. Then you got the Pirates just trying to end things on, a little less dramatic notes. Get through some of these rough patches that they've had. But what do you see in this matchup for tonight?
First of all, I guess I'm pretty oblivious. I did not realize today's Friday the 13th until you just said it here. So that's sad on my part here. But it's all good. I'm on the Royals tonight. That's no shock. They don't call me Captain Chalk for no reason here. I think the Royals, listen, they didn't play poorly against the Yankees at the stadium, but they lost 2 out of 3 here. I think they're looking to get back on the right track here. I think the Pirates' future is bright, just not tonight here. We know they're pitching with Skeens, Jock Jones, Keller. I mean, if they can get some hitting next year, this could be a team to watch. Tonight, however, I'll take the Royals here, and I'm thinking of putting them in a parlay with the Baltimore Orioles.
Ooh, we like a little parlay party. Or at least we always say that to Adam Kaufman, who likes to throw everything in the purse and run away with it on the night. But I guess we might as well see what's going on with the Orioles versus the Tigers. Now, we've got Eflin 5-5 with a 4.38 ERA, 1.18 whip on the road, more specifically. And then the Tigers are just 3 games over that .500, sitting at the bottom for on-base percentage, only 150 home runs on the season. Where's the flattery in this one?
Yeah, I mean, this line's a little fishy. You know, Baltimore only minus 126 against Detroit. We're not talking schoolboy going here, right? So Eflin's been pretty good for Baltimore. He's not an ace, right? He's not that kind of guy, but he's been pretty good for the Baltimore Orioles. I think he shuts down the Tigers here. I know the Tigers are battling a tough loss yesterday, losing to Colorado 4-2 here as they're trying to get back in that playoff picture. I was toying with the idea of also taking Baltimore on the run line. However, you are playing in Detroit. It is a pitcher's park there. Runs can be tough to come by, and Baltimore's offense has been a little skitterish of late outside of Anthony Santander here. So it's going to be Baltimore on the money line. Like I said, I imagine within the next 23 minutes, I'll have Baltimore and Kansas City in a parlay as well.
Oh, I like it. And my note here was consider Baltimore run line. Moving on from maybe some hope. I've heard, I now work with a lot of Mets fans, so they get excited. They don't like to get excited because when they get excited and the team doesn't do well, I don't know how to help them through this. But we do have the Mets taking on the Phillies tonight. Mets need to, line up, rally behind Quintana. Then you got the Phillies relying on Nola. Nola has allowed 72 runs through 177 innings pitched. What do you like in this one, and how do we help Mets fans keep their head on?
Well, I don't know if I can help Mets fans keep their head on tonight. How about this? I think the Mets do make the playoffs. All right, I'll give you that. I think Atlanta's just been, listen, a lot of credit to Atlanta. All the injuries they've had. Started with Strider, Acuna, Albies, right? I mean, it's just one injury after another. Now, Lopez just went on the IL, right? So just one injury after another. So I think the Mets are going to get in. Good for them. Going to lose tonight, however. And this one, I will take the run line. All right. I think tonight could be a little bit of a beat-up night. Right? They were in Toronto. Did the Mets take care of business there? I think Philadelphia takes care of business today. Wins by more than a run here. Nola against Quintana. I think Quintana just gets beat up here. So give me the Phillies on the run line.
Oh, okay. At least you gave them a little bit of positivity before you switch things up on them there. But I do like that pick for the run line. When it comes down to the Marlins, it was all about how many runs they were consistently conceding in the top of the season. Then you get to the middle of the season, and then, now they're looking to shake things off after that sweep by Pittsburgh. Taking on the Nationals. Nationals will finish 4th in the NL East this season. What is more appealing and attractive in this matchup?
I'm going to go with Miami in the first 5. The reason for that is Cabrera has been good for the Miami Marlins. He's not their best starting pitcher. That'll be Alcantara. He'll be back next year. But he's been a good, solid pitcher for Miami. I worry about the bullpen. So I think Washington might win this game late here. But I'm going to take Miami in the first 5 here. I'll be honest with you. I got the 6 TVs here. I'll be watching a little baseball tonight. this game won't be on one of those TVs. All right. I don't really want to watch this game at all. Sorry if you're a Washington fan or a Miami fan for that matter. The two of you out there, I know it's so heartbreaking. But give me Miami first 5.
That's what we do here on Game Time Decisions. We have to break a few hearts just to get through the slate. But will you at least be watching the Rangers versus Mariners game? I hear somebody's going to be making an appearance in this matchup after some time out.
You have to watch, right? I'm as curious as everybody else. All right, how will Jacob deGrom do? I think he'll do well. He's been. I don't think he'll pitch long. He'll be on a pitch count. I'd be surprised he goes more than 5 innings. So if you're playing any props for Jacob deGrom, the 6.5 strikeouts, I don't know. I'm not going to. At least if I did, I certainly could change my mind before game time. It would be a small play, just a little action on the game here. But you worry about how deep he might go into the game. If you've run into some bigger counts, I don't think he's going to get hit. I'm not really worried about that. But you're worried about deeper counts. Maybe he only goes 5 innings. Can he still have those strikeouts there? But I think he's going to be fine. And like I said, I'm a fan. I want to see Jacob deGrom do well. I truly do here. But I think it'll be a short outing for him.
I see. Well, I see the Yankees merch behind you, and I got to ask, what's popping out for the Yankees taking on the Red Sox tonight? Less than a minute, but there's got to be something that's going to make this game worthwhile.
Oh, for me, it's kind of easy here. These are some numbers for you. 3, 2, 1, 10, 0, 4, 2. That's the Yankee run totals the last 6-7 games here. They don't score runs, okay? They're devoid again. Yankee team total under tonight.
Ooh, that was a great way to put it. Plus, I've been scorned by the Yankees, especially taking them in the first 5 on the run line a number of times this year. So I'll be doing absolutely nothing. But I can at least healthily root for you, George, and hope that the Yankees pull through on that under for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. We got a lot more to get to, so stick with us here on the other side on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. What was thinking? But he had that program was already going there.
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go. Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing.
They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go! That's what champions do.
You are watching Game Time Decisions and hanging out with myself, Kasey Hudson, here on SportsGrid TV. We just got some MLB rundown from George Kurtz. Great stuff there. And he even gave Met fans a little bit of hope, even though he is a Yankees fan. So talk about a stand-up guy. We also, if you missed it, mentioned the fact that Christian McCaffrey will not be a part of this weekend's, matchup versus the Vikings. The Niners made the announcement a little bit earlier. And then just make sure you are gauging the market for the Miami Dolphins and the change-ups that might be coming down the pipeline as we figure out what is going on with Tua and what his NFL future holds. But all football talk aside, it is time for us to touch back on some WNBA. And if you missed WNBA earlier today at 2 o'clock, what are you doing? Every week you can get your WNBA fix here on SportsGrid TV. And we've got a healthy slate of games tonight. We got the Sky taking on the Lynx. Big game for the Sky. Mystics taking on the Dream. Storm taking on the Wings, Aces, and the Fever, and Sun and the Mercury. But don't take my word for it. And yes, you should be watching WNBA today on SportsGrid TV. But earlier, we did catch up with James Young, or as I love to call him, Coach. And we had to get his breakdown of each game, his best bets within this slate. And, of course, there is a game on the line between the Mystiques and the Dream. And it's because both of these teams are fighting for a playoff spot. So here is Coach and myself earlier breaking down his top plays and this matchup.
Mystiques are the 9th team in the league when it comes to scoring, averaging 79.6 points per game. Defense ranking 8th, so not too shabby there, but you've got a Dream and as well as this team fighting for that playoff spot. So what do you see in this matchup of value?
Here's something that's important, and not only are we talking about the playoff position, Kasey, Atlanta's draft pick goes to Washington. So this is a big game for a team in the Atlanta Dream that's playing better since the return of Ryan Howard. I think it means more to them. If you look at the fact that the Mystics, yes, they are playing basketball, better basketball than two, but the Dream need it more. This is an interesting case. A Mystics team that went 0-12 actually control their own destiny to make the playoffs because they play again on Sunday. But I still like the Atlanta Dream. Give me the Atlanta Dream minus the points.
Ooh, I like the points too, and I think we could agree on this. Will the home court advantage play further into their ability to succeed or cover the spread?
I think so. And speaking of someone from the home team, can we talk about Tina Charles real quick? Double-double minus 145 on FanDuel. Kasey, 9 out of the last 10 games, she's gotten a double-double. I'm surprised this isn't 170, 180. It's minus 145. Tina Charles, the wily veteran, double-double tonight.
As you guys see, a lot going into that Mystiques versus Dream matchup. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you've got these teams in the hunt for a playoff spot, and they have some major games coming up for the Dream, not only taking on the Mystiques tonight, but then they also have a back-to-back. So they have one on home court advantage, one on the road, and that is going to take place before they face off with the Sky. Then you've got the Sky that I mentioned going versus the Minnesota Lynx tonight. Massive game for the Sky, but probably not going to be anything of major compete. We did hear the news of Angel Reese being out with a season-ending injury. That's going to be a fracture to her wrist. So they're going to be down their top-performing rookies, still trying to scurry and see how they can get in here. But I think the Dream can slide into a playoff spot. On WNBA today, I did have them to be a team to lock their playoff spot. I believe that came in at plus 104. So it's something that we're going to be keeping an eye on. But as for, I don't know, best bets of mine, I did have a play card for the WNBA slate tonight. Dream to make the playoffs, plus 104, as I just mentioned, but also Dream to lay the numbers. I got them at minus 3.5 to at least keep in contention there. Then you heard Coach mention it. You can't talk about certain teams without talking about Tina Charles and 10-plus rebounds at minus 160. If you catch it at 12-plus rebounds, I'm not too far off from that. I was just playing a little safer here, but, I mean, to think about the numbers that she's going to have to put up to help her team stay in the game, I think that this can be a shoo-in for Tina Charles. Then I got Minnesota fourth quarter win outright. The value was just a bit high, not really in the cash-in value in terms of Minnesota winning all the way. So I figured why not have fun with it? Coach and I have talked about this before on WNBA today, where the Lynx have a very strong first quarter and a very strong fourth quarter, and I think that's going to be the case. So I like them at minus 162. And then grab Collier for over 33.5 points, plus rebounds, plus assists. I mean, she's off the charts, sitting at 27 plus points per night. Also comes in quality in the rebound column. Assists probably not her top thing, but she can easily hit 33.5 between the points and the rebounds alone. So that was my WNBA card. And as I have said at least 5 times now, Fridays, 2 o'clock on SportsGrid TV. Get your WNBA fix with myself. We'll have all sort of guests coming through outside of Coach James, but you're not going to want to miss it, especially as the playoff picture becomes a little more crystal clear and we figure out who's going to be hoisting a trophy in just a few short weeks here when it comes to the WNBA. A lot more to get to on the other side. We got to get Joe Madden's picks for the MLB slate, so stick with us here on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing.
They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go! That's what champions do.
Welcome back into Game Time Decisions here on SportsGrid TV. Kasey Hudson rolling with you for at least another hour and a half. Just talked to George Courts. We gave you guys some breakdown from earlier today on WNBA Today, but now we got to talk to Joe Madden and get her MLB slate and pick her brain. One of my favorite betting cards. I love how she breaks down each game and finds some great props in between. And of course, the run line. I mean, Joe, you gauge the run line, the active line so brilliantly. So I'm excited to see what you've got on the card tonight. When we talked to George, he gave us a little bit of insight on the Mets versus Orioles, but I feel like you've got a little bit more to dive into with this matchup.
Yeah, definitely do. And I'm liking some alt lines tonight. No alt lines in this one, but looking at the Mets to come out nice and strong, especially in that first 5 innings. We look at Quintana getting the start for them here, Kasey, and he's been so phenomenally strong over his last 3 starts, 18 innings pitched and only 1 earned run allowed. And we look at the Phillies, they're giving the start to Nola. And yes, Nola needs a bounce back after what we saw versus the Marlins, but I don't know if he gets that good of a bounce back. And with the value that we're getting here on the Mets in the first 5 innings, straight up on that money line at plus 140, I can't say no. Versus the Marlins, we saw Nola go 4 2/3 innings pitched, and he allowed 4 earned runs. We know this Mets team, as of late, has been able to get those runs on the board. So I'm expecting them to hit Nola. I don't think it's going to be an easy one for them in the first 5 here. That's why the books do have them as a dog. But at that value, I can't look past it. I think Quintana can do enough to keep them in the first 5 innings.
Oh, I love it. Well, maybe there's a guy on the mound that'll have a little bit better luck or consistency while Nola tries to figure out where he strikes hot tonight. I see some love here for Clark Schmidt when it comes down to the Braves versus the Dodgers showdown going on tonight.
Yeah, looking at Clark Schmidt, he is so phenomenally strong at being able to get those strikeouts. Now, we're going to have to ult his strikeouts in this one, Kasey. It's really interesting to look at just the straight strikeout props on a lot of these pitchers tonight. I'm finding a lot of these pitchers have highly juiced numbers out there. So looking at Clark Schmidt, ulting his number, I'm trying to work out what it was at before and what juice you had to lay. But now, if you ult that number, you can get value on him. I do think getting that value at, I believe it's 7+ strikeouts, Kasey, for his strikeouts in this one. I do think you look at the Reds, and the Reds have been struggling so bad versus pitchers here, especially righties. They're striking out at a rate of like 25.5%. We look at them over the last 30 days as well. That rate is highly increased there. So I'm looking for those strikeouts to come for Clark Schmidt in this one. I don't know why I've lost that line here on the books at what it is on that ult number. I can't find it, but I believe it is 7+ strikeouts at +134 is what you have to ult it to. The 6 strikeout number, the over 5.5 strikeouts, Kasey, it's like -162. I believe it was at. I was just trying to find those numbers for you, but I do think it's worth a look here. The Yankees should come out nice and strong. I think they get this win. The problem here is betting the Yankees straight up. They're just way too juicy on that money line at that -150, -155 mark.
Yeah, and even so hard to find it, you were correct. It was the 7+ and the +134. So as I mentioned, it's just sitting right there at the top of your mind. Let's talk further about, I see something here for Betts and Ohtani to both score a run. We got to get some run love in the mix here. So break this one down for us, Joe.
Yeah, we have the LA Dodgers coming out facing the Atlanta Braves, and looking at this matchup, it's a really interesting one here with the pitches. Schwellenbeck coming out for the Atlanta Braves. He's got pretty solid numbers, but the Dodgers lineup has been phenomenally strong. Now, the Atlanta Braves have been so strong defensively, while the Dodgers have been allowing a lot of runs to come up on the board. But I do think you look at Mookie Betts here and Ohtani both to get a run tonight. I do think that is in the cards, but the problem here is the books have it so juiced. You have to parlay them together. And when you do parlay them together, that's coming in at +153. Now, I think you can also look here at the Yurfie. I think this Yurfie, though, has to come out of the Dodgers because, like I talked about, the Braves offensively have had those struggles as of late. So I don't think the Braves will be able to add to that run in that first inning. I think the Dodgers can come out strong enough. We know the top of the lineup is phenomenally strong. Ultimately, I'd love to see Mookie Betts and Ohtani be able to get those runs in that first inning and cash both of those for us. So that's where I'm going with that one, Kasey.
We love a parlay, especially one that's going to bring in some value. Now, no one's mentioned it here yet on Game Time Decisions, but any love for this Brewers versus Diamondbacks matchup?
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup between the Brewers and the Diamondbacks. I do think we look at the Diamondbacks here. We know this offense has been clicking, and now the Milwaukee Brewers coming off a win yesterday. They're starting Freddie Peralta out here. This is another pitcher that I want to ult up his lines. Freddie Peralta, 10-8 on the season with a 3.41 ERA. You can take him over 4.5 Ks, but who wants to lay the juice at -170? You have to look at him for 6+ Ks. That's coming in at +134. When we take him to that over, I think he has every ability to hit it. The last times he faced the Diamondbacks, it was a couple years ago, but he was able to get 9 and 10 strikeouts in both of those matchups. I believe it was in 2021. So he hasn't faced them for a while here, but I think this number of 6+ has so much value at +134. I also look here at his career numbers, his ERA, that's a 3-0 with an 0.55 versus the Diamondbacks. So I'm looking for him to have success. Now, the Diamondbacks, I do think could get the win here. They're coming in at +100. Rodriguez getting his start here for the Arizona Diamondbacks. His home numbers are not too impressive, but we're looking at limited pitching at home. That home ERA is a 6.91, Kasey. So I'm just not trusting him in this situation. I know we've seen Arizona be able to get those runs on the board. I almost feel like this is a trap game. A couple of games over the last week, I've looked at the Diamondbacks. I've taken their team total over the 4, over the 4.5. We've had a couple 3.5s even out there, and they've been cashing. Tonight, the books are giving us over 4.5 at plus 112. With how this offense has been clicking, it should hit. But I think the ultimate thing in this game is Freddie Peralta comes out and silences them. So I'll take his strikeouts, and I'll look at the first 5 innings, under 4.5 runs in this one, a minus 110. It's a scary place to be with the Diamondbacks at bat, but I think it's the right side for this game.
I like it. And I like that you mentioned that there could be potential traps, which is why I'm going to remind everyone that they should be not only following you on Twitter, but making sure that they're tracking all of your bets, because if anything changes up, Joe is so brilliant at throwing out some live line mix-ups and anything that you should be gauging while the game continues on. But maybe there's a few less traps. We've got the Rangers taking on the Mariners before we switch over and get some of your NFL picks as we head into week 2.
Yeah, looking at this matchup, it's a really interesting one here, and I'm confused at why this total is so low. This total's been floating between 6.5 and 7 all day between the Texas Rangers and the Seattle Mariners. And looking at Jacob deGrom coming out here for the Texas Rangers, I just don't know if he's going to be able to do what we've seen him doing in AAA. He's had that lengthy layoff, and then Hancock coming out here for the Seattle Mariners. His numbers, they're hit or a miss, a 3.43 ERA. We're seeing for him getting the start here today. So I'm looking at both of these pitchers to not have the success out there. Give me the over 7, Kasey.
Ooh, I like that lean on that one. And as I mentioned earlier, guys, George Kurtz was saying that there could potentially be a little bit of a pitch count for deGrom, so something else to keep an eye on as this matchup goes about. But when you hear it there, to gauge the total, to see the transition in the total over time, I would take Joe's advice on that. We do have less than a minute, but we do get to keep Joe. We run through the MLB slate and get your best bets and numbers and cards there. But we did get some news. Christian McCaffrey will not be playing versus the Minnesota Vikings, and I see that we're going to talk a little Vikings as well as some other NFL teams for the big Week 2 matchup. So don't go anywhere, Joe. And fans, you stick with us here on SportsGrid TV's Game Time Decisions. We're going to continue to run through some NFL with Joe, and then we go to college football, and then we got more guests down the line. So stick with us on the other side of this break.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing.
They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go! That's what champions do.
Welcome back into Game Time Decisions here on SportsGrid TV. Kasey Hudson hanging out with Joe Madden still. If you missed her MLB picks in slate, be sure that you are following her as well as SportsGrid on social media. But we got to get into some NFL Week 2. I say it again, Christian McCaffrey, CMC will not be run DMC, not for his team this weekend. He is listed as out again as he continues to work through injuries. But you've got the Niners taking on the Vikings team that performed better than expected versus the Giants, but everybody calm down. I know it's just the Giants. So let's bring in Joe Madden and get her take on the Niners taking on the Vikings this weekend and the Niners performing without Christian McCaffrey again.
I think this is a great matchup here for the Minnesota Vikings, Kasey. Yes, you could say there's overreaction and people thinking the Minnesota Vikings looked better than they expected last week. But I think this is one where it's not an overreaction. I do think the Minnesota Vikings can be a stronger team this season. The biggest question mark around this team is Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold came out phenomenally strong. Under new coaching, we have seen quarterbacks have success, and I do think Sam Darnold, under the coaching here, should have success for the Minnesota Vikings. So I'm liking them again in this one. I'm grabbing them plus the points. Now, I don't think they get the win, but I do think they can hang around in this game. I love all the weapons that we do there for Sam Darnold, and I do think this defense is strong enough to keep them in this game. So give me the Minnesota Vikings plus the 5.5. We know Brian Flores is going to bring the blitz, put that pressure on Brock Purdy in this one. I think it's a really nice look here at the Vikings.
Yeah, and I will say this. The Vikings have been known to sneak up on teams a number of times, and a lot of that is because of Kevin O'Connell. One of the top minds out there, whether you love him or hate him, he can scheme a game, and that is why you tend to find more of these surprising matchups. As for surprises, we do have the Jets. We've got this new era with Aaron Rodgers, and we had a little bit of an underwhelming performance in a number of ways when they took on the 49ers. They're going against the Titans this coming weekend. Titans had a strong competition versus the Bears, but kind of fell short in the second half of the game. What do you foresee between the Jets and the Titans?
Well, quickly, Kasey, before we jump into that, I just want to also note the 49ers haven't won in Minnesota since 1992. One of those fun facts that I forgot to throw out to you. But looking here at the New York Jets versus the Tennessee Titans, everyone is saying the Jets are the same old Jets, and I am not buying into it. I think that's an overreaction from what we did see in week 1 out there. Aaron Rodgers didn't look as strong as we expected, and this defense was an absolute mess. Now they're taking on the Tennessee Titans with Will Levis, and I do think in this one they can come out strong enough to be able to get the win. I'm looking for more out of the defense in this game. We know this defense is phenomenally strong. Quinton Williams, he came out so strong to start that game last week, and then he just disappeared in the game, even though he was out there on the field. I'm expecting him to put that pressure on Will Levis, force those turnovers, and I do think the Jets can stay in this one. So I'm looking at the Jets. I know we have to lay points with them. I'm going to lay the points in the first half, laying the 2.5 in the first half at -110. I know this is back-to-back road games on a short week for the New York Jets here, but I just don't trust Will Levis enough to put my money on them even as home dogs in this one, Kasey.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people complain about the fact that, when you don't have your starters involved in preseason, you're going to see them working through the kinks in the first couple of weeks, and that could have placated into them falling short to the Niners. Also, Rodgers didn't really utilize his weapons well, so hopefully they took things back to the drawing board and come in with a better game plan versus the Titans. Now, for teams that do have to re-game plan, we did see a number of injuries in week 1, Jordan Love being one of them, should be out for a couple of weeks. 4 weeks minimum is what I was hearing, but they're taking on the Colts, which means they're going to have to re-strategize and get that ground game going. A ground game that everybody was so excited about for their matchup in Brazil. We didn't see much of it. We know conditions, soccer field, everything played into it. But what's the glimmer of hope as they go on and host the Colts, a Colts team that actually should be very, very good this season?
Yeah, the Colts team should be good. I'm really impressed with Anthony Richardson. And off his one throw, Kasey, I don't know if you remember it, when he threw that huge pass, I believe it was 57 yards, his actual back foot foot slipped on that pass. So I was impressed with what we saw. I think he's going to be a phenomenal quarterback out there, but I don't think the Colts should be laying 3.5 points in this one. It is still the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau, and I know Malik Willis will be coming out here for them, but you look at quarterbacks, second string quarterbacks getting their start. That first start, they've actually covered the spread in 57% of the time in situations like this. So I think Malik can come out here and be strong enough to get it to his weapons. Now, I'm looking for him to be more of a play caller in this one. Just pass the ball off to Josh Jacobs and Josh Jacobs to get the work on the ground. I'm going to take Josh Jacobs over the 68.5 rushing yards. That's coming in at -110. I'd look at him for the anytime touchdown at -130 as well. The Packers at home in Lambeau, though, Kasey, I tell you, I wouldn't be shocked if they end up coming out and getting the win with Malik Willis just surprising people out there. I know the Colts are a solid team, but you look at the Colts, you look at what they allowed Joe Mixon to do in that last game. They allowed him to rush for 139 yards. So I think we could have a big upset here in Lambeau with the home team winning.
Yes, and we know that Jacobs wants to make up for the ground game that he could not get going down in Brazil. But speaking of ground game, speaking of teams that should utilize the run game a lot, we got the Texans taking on the Bears. Texans showing a great Week 1 performance. I see you've got some things here that kind of leans favorably towards the Texans, if I said so myself, but I'm right on board with that, Joe.
Oh, I'm so glad we're on the same page with this one. I think the Houston Texans come out and they probably win this by double digits. I'm going to lay the 6.5. I am debating laddering up this number as well. I think CJ Stroud and how phenomenally strong he is. He's one of those quarterbacks that I tell you, he is going to be just as strong as Mahomes over his career. I'm looking for big things out of him. And I do think the Bears have a strong defense, but offensively, Caleb Williams just not looking as strong as I'd like to see him out there. That offensive line is allowing that pressure on him, Kasey, and I can't trust him out here.
Absolutely. Well, I love what you got on the card here for the Texans. You got Stephon Diggs. You got Joe Mixon in the mix. Wow, that's a mouthful to say. But, Joe, thank you so much for sharing your MLB knowledge, picking some great picks for the NFL Week 2. Stick with us because we got college football to get you on the other side.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing.
They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go! That's what champions do.
Welcome back into Game Time Decisions here on SportsGrid TV. Kasey Hudson continuing to roll with you for the next hour. We talked to George Kurtz. Words for me today. It's Friday the 13th. Everyone relax. Then we had Joe Madden run through her MLB picks as well as give some great handouts for NFL Week 2. Once again, Christian McCaffrey will not be with his team on the field taking on the Vikings this weekend. We know the updates with Tua. We know a bunch of other NFL shakeups that have taken place and impacted the upcoming game. So make sure you're getting all that information here on SportsGrid TV. Now, before we dive into the college football slate that's getting ready to get underway, let's touch up on some of the MLB games that just got going. You got the Orioles falling short to the Tigers 0-1 already. Actually, it's top of the second. Moving around really quickly, Royals versus Pirates, 0-0, bottom of the first. Mets, Phillies, 0-0, bottom of the first. And then Marlins, Nationals, bottom of the first, still sticking at 0-0. And then we got a couple WNBA games that are getting ready to get going. But as I mentioned, we've got college football tonight. We've got a massive college football slate tomorrow. We'll get more into it with PJ coming up shortly. Can't wait to chat with him. But Arizona taking on Kansas State. Arizona versus Mr. Gatorade. So what are we looking for? If you didn't catch it in the top of the segment here on Game Time Decisions, Arizona is 2-0 straight up, but they are 0-2 against the spread. Something to keep in mind. 1-1, so it's a split when it comes to the over-under. They do lead the all-time series 5-1-1. Last time they put a beating on Kansas State was back in 1978. All of this to build the foundation of what are we going to see tonight? Well, we saw Kansas State on the road versus Tulane last weekend, and they kind of had a very rough start. They were shaken up by Tulane's defense. They allowed Tulane to not only spread the ball against them, but have a massive ground game. I mean, their top performers were racking up 100-plus yardage in both categories. So they're going to make some adjustments to make sure that that is not the case going against Arizona. Arizona might not be a top football school, but they obviously have the upper hand in this matchup more consistently. Something working in favor when it comes to Kansas State is the fact that the front men on the defense for Arizona are all very new. So they're still going to be piecing together how to work together as a unit, which means a dual threat quarterback like Avery Johnson can probably throw this defense off with his eyes, his arm, and his legs, which takes me over to what to expect from Mr. Gatorade. Well, the sophomore quarterback, his aerial attack can probably go to work tonight. So far, he is sitting at a 65.9 completion rate on the season, but his touchdown to interception ratio is probably the most flattering thing. Sitting at 4-1, keeps a pretty clean game, doesn't make too many rash or stupid mistakes. We did see them kind of revert to their ground game until Avery Johnson got comfortable last week, but I think he's going to want to come out swinging, using his arm as well as using his legs. One thing I do want to preference before I get into my betting card for this matchup is the fact that I already said that Tulane kind of carved them ahead of Thanksgiving, not only in the air but on the ground. So we know that Arizona is probably going to try to use their 6'5 wideout to go to work against Kansas State's defense tonight, but we're hoping that Kansas State's a little smarter than that. Not hoping too much, though, because, of course, this card that I have. Favorite bets for tonight. Arizona wide receiver McMillan to have over 94.5 receiving yards. I just said it. Tulane's top wide receiver, went to town, 138 receiving yards versus Kansas State's defense. I think that they're still going to have to make some adjustments in terms of marking up certain players, but McMillan's a hard guy to have in coverage. At 6'5", he's got a stride that can kind of put these guys on their toes very quickly and keep Kansas State's defense kind of chasing him, at least in that first half, until they rally in the second half. As for Kansas State, giving them some love, it's going to be Gideons to grab a tutty tonight. That's coming in at 260. I already talked about why I think that Avery Johnson is not only a dual threat quarterback, but a quarterback worth tracking when it comes to the college football world. I have him at over 40-plus rushing yards at minus 220. Picked up an easy 40 yards last week. He could honestly reach 50-plus rushing yards. Not in the Josh Allen category, but still, once he gets into a comfortable stride, he does like to use his legs at the right moment. I also wouldn't be surprised if he ran in his own tutty for the night. Arizona QB to have 2+ passing touchdowns. In order to get that big yardage with McMillan, he's going to have to also find him in the end zone. So that's why I have him for 2+ at minus 166. I do have Kansas State to cover. While I sit here and talk about the ways that Arizona can carve up Kansas State, I have a lot more faith in the way that Kansas State bounced back in the game versus Tulane. Tulane owned both sides of the ball. Kansas State was able to game plan better, and I think they'll do the same tonight versus Arizona. So this is my play card, but we got a lot more college football to get into, and we got a brilliant mind on the other side to break it all down for us, so don't go anywhere. Continue to sit with us here at Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid TV. College football. We got NFL with Adam Kaufman. We got so much more. The party continues on this Freaky Friday, so hang out with us until we get back from this quick break.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing.
They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go! That's what champions do.
Back at it with Game Time Decisions here on SportsGrid TV. And as I promised, we got to get to some college football outside of Arizona and Kansas State, which you guys already know my take and my card on that. If you missed it, be sure you were following SportsGrid TV on all of the social media platforms. Well, we got to talk to one of my favorite minds. It's going to be PJ Glasser. Did I say it right? I second-guessed myself the minute that it came out of my mouth. But PJ, I'm so excited to catch up with you. You can catch PJ on Send It In. I mean, everything, baseball, college football, NFL, all the things. One of my favorite minds to pick when it comes to betting and just games in general. But how have you been, PJ? I know. It's great to see you, too. It's been a minute. I love that the first game on the slate is for us to talk about Memphis versus Florida State. I'll preface this by anyone who knows me, knows that I'm a FSU fan. Anyone who's a Tampa Bay Lightning fan should know that all the Lightning players are out at FSU right now rooting for them. So this should be good luck. But, PJ, you break it down. What do you like in this matchup? And hopefully it aligns with the Tampa Bay Lightning being good luck and me rooting for the Noles regardless of their disappointing start to the season.
Casey, I'm rocking with your Noles. I would lay the 6.5 with them tomorrow against Memphis. Look, it's obviously been a disappointing start, right? This was a top 10 team in the country. Their first two games against Georgia Tech and Boston College, they were favored by double digits, lost both of those games outright. But I think having a bye week last week was huge for this team to kind of press the reset button, get refocused. Florida State's head coach, Mike Norvell, before he came to Tallahassee, was the head coach of Memphis. So this game means a little extra for Mike Norvell and for the Seminoles. So anything under the 7, I think, is a good bet. I expect DJU to play pretty well in this game. Memphis was one of the worst tackling teams in college football last season, so I think that's going to help Florida State. Everybody's down on this team right now, and Kasey, a lot of times when people are down on a team, that's when I like to buy in on those kind of buy low spots. So I like the Seminoles tomorrow -6.5.
Yeah, you line it up perfectly. There's a bunch of pressure points for the Noles, but I will say it's time for them to rise the occasion. Please, please, Seminoles, do not embarrass me another week. I have to live through this. A team that's less embarrassing, though, you got Utah taking on Utah State. Utah put a beating on Baylor the other week. I didn't expect it to go heavy in the first half of them just completely dominating, but what do you see in this matchup as they show how ferocious their offense can be?
So, Kasey, last week we had that crazy upset in college football with Northern Illinois taking down Notre Dame. I think this game has the potential to be this week's crazy upset. Utah State, I like them plus the points. I'd also look at the money line as well. Utah's got a huge game coming up next week against Oklahoma State. That's going to be a massive game in the Big 12. Their quarterback, Cam Rising, isn't playing in this game. Utah just wants to survive and advance. They just want to get out of this game healthy. They just want to get the win. They don't care how many points it's by. Whereas Utah State, I mean, this is their Super Bowl. They get to play an in-state game against Utah in their building. Their quarterback, Bryson Barnes, actually was the quarterback for Utah last season, so he has some extra motivation going up against his former team. I really like Utah State. You know, they played USC last week, and they got beaten really badly, which I think is shying a lot of people off of the Aggies, but I would come right back with them this week because Utah isn't going to be taking them too serious. They're just looking ahead to Oklahoma State, and Utah State is having this game at home. They're playing to win this game and pull the upset, so I like Utah State.
Mark it down, football fans, a potential upset alert, but at least great storylines to keep track of. We got Ole Miss taking on Wake Forest. I think this is probably going to be more of a competition that Ole Miss has seen thus far in this season. So what's shaking out between this one and Jackson Dart? I mean, he's just been going ham the first couple of weeks.
Kasey, it's been insane. He's had 7 incompletions in his first 2 games. You know, Ole Miss hasn't played anybody, but Lane Kiffin and the Rebels are padding stats. They're trying to score as many points as they can. They want to get Jackson Dart in the Heisman conversation. Wake Forest is one of the worst secondaries in Power 4 college football. And when you have a bad secondary going up against a Lane Kiffin offense and a quarterback as good as Jackson Dart, that's not a good combo. So Ole Miss, anything under 24, I think is a good bet with the Rebels. Their defense is also much improved this season. This is kind of the first test that they're going to get this year going up against Wake Forest's offense who can score some points, but I think Ole Miss rolls again, Kasey. When you're laying big numbers with these favorites, you want teams that are going to run up the score. You want teams that are going to continue to try and score in the third and the fourth quarter. That's what we're going to get out of Ole Miss. So I'd lay the 20.5 with Ole Miss. I think they win this game by 30, 40 points.
Yeah, and probably another big Heisman-worthy performance by Dart. Again, regardless of who he's going up against, he's posting the numbers, and he is working a wheel at that quarterback position. He's so fun to watch. I mean, he's a dual-threat guy that's just exciting. A more exciting team, I want to get your take on this. I didn't catch it beforehand, but did you think Georgia deserved that top spot when it came to the national rankings? And when are they going to finally get their biggest competition ahead here in the college football season?
Yeah, I think Georgia was the rightful number 1 team. You know, they won 2 out of the last 3 national championships. Last season, their only loss was in the SEC title game to Bama and Nick Saban, who's the only coach that can consistently beat Kirby. And now that Saban obviously is retired, you're looking for that team that's up next that's going to beat Georgia. And what's funny, Kasey, is we do get Bama playing Georgia in about 2 weeks, right? So Bama plays Wisconsin this week. They have a bye. Georgia plays Kentucky this week. They have a bye. And then we get that showdown on September 28th, which is going to be an awesome game. I think Bama has a chance of winning that game potentially. So that's going to be Georgia's first test. They have a tough road schedule this year. They're at Bama, they're at Texas, they're at Ole Miss, who we were just talking about. They have to play Tennessee. So Georgia's going to have some tough games coming up throughout the season. But they are the number one team. They dominated Clemson in week 1. That was a really impressive performance. And they're the team to beat until somebody can knock them off.
I'll be circling Georgia and Alabama on my calendar. Every friend I have back home who's not a Seminole fan, all Alabama. That was literally the split of my school. So a lot of friends back home that want me to say Roll Tide Roll, but I can't say it too loud. What do you see in the Georgia versus Kentucky game, though? Where's the appeal betting-wise in this matchup?
I'm going with the under, Casey, under 44.5. This is just one of those games. I don't see how Kentucky gets to double digits. They only scored 10 points last week against South Carolina, and now you got to face Georgia. And it feels like in the Kirby Smart era, whenever Georgia's gone to Lexington, these games are kind of always the same. They're ugly, they're sloppy, they're low scoring. Georgia scores in like the low 30s. Kentucky kind of see the same sort of thing. I see like a 31-7, 31-3 kind of game. So I think it's going to be low scoring. We just talked about Georgia's playing Bama in a couple weeks. So offensively, maybe don't want to show too much on film, but defensively, they're obviously going to be very much Georgia-like, and Kentucky's going to have a tough time scoring. So I like the under 44.5.
Brilliant thing to point out. And we know that these two teams between Bama and Georgia, very strategic teams. Speaking of Bama, took on USF. Last year, USF put up a pretty big fight. This year, in the whole first half, USF put on a pretty big fight. I'm hoping they're going to carry that momentum into this matchup versus Southern Mississippi with a massive chip on their shoulder because they're hanging out with the Roll Tide. They're competing with one of the top teams out there. What do you foresee in the South Florida versus Southern Mississippi matchup?
They are, Casey, and that's part of the handicap is this is a serious sandwich spot that South Florida is faced with this week. You mentioned they played Bama last week. They have Miami upcoming in Tampa next week, right? So imagine you're USF. You go on the road to Tuscaloosa last week. That's a one-possession game in the fourth quarter. You have a top 5 team in the country on the ropes, right? You come away, you lose that game, but you feel good about yourselves. And then you get another opportunity against the top 10 team next week in Miami, in your building, at home. Like, I just think they're looking ahead to that game, right? You come off a tough Bama game. You got Miami upcoming. And now you got this road trip to Southern Miss where you're laying 11.5 points. I think this is a dangerous game for South Florida. I think they're going to be reeling a little bit from the Bama game, looking ahead to Miami. So I'll take Southern Miss plus the points.
I'm a big fan of it. Very, very seldomly a big fan of it because I was a UCF gal, so I can't say too much for USF. But PJ, thank you so much for joining me. Make sure that you guys stick with us on the other side of this break.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing.
They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go! That's what champions do.
Welcome back into Game Time Decisions here on SportsGrid TV. I promised you an exciting slate on this Freaky Friday. Talked to Joe, we talked to George, we talked to PJ. Now we've got Adam Kaufman, and this should not be anything unfamiliar because Adam and I get to talk on the pregame show for Pro Football Today for every NFL game. We were on last night. Bills and Dolphins. We'll be together come Monday. We have so much going on in the pregame show, but most importantly, we got to chat with Adam about week 2. See what's going on his card, any crazy parlays, because, well, there's no surprise there. But most importantly, we got some news, Adam. We've got Christian McCaffrey out. At least they announced it in better timing. It was less dramatic flair, form, and fashion. But I think we should start off talking about Christian McCaffrey, the Niners, and the Vikings, who could maybe have some fun. I don't know. You tell us.
Well, without a doubt, it was chaos on Pro Football Today when that Christian McCaffrey news in prime time came down just, a little over an hour from kickoff. So everybody was kind of left scrambling, except for, I guess, Jordan Mason, who came out at the time after and said he had indications from the coaching staff that he was going to be starting that game as early as Friday afternoon. So that obviously set everybody ablaze in the betting community, wondering about fudging injury reports and all of that stuff. So yes, we have the news. There is no confusion. And I don't think there's any confusion either as to what the Niners are telling us. You know, it could be one of two things, right? And time will bear this out. Either one, the Christian McCaffrey injury is pretty serious if he, in fact, lands on IR, which, according to reports out there, this is something San Francisco is considering. And as we know, he would have to miss at least the first 4 games of the year if that happens. If it doesn't happen and he winds up playing next week, well, what that tells me is that the Niners are looking at the Vikings and saying, this isn't much of a challenge. This is going to be okay. I mean, I know Minnesota went out and throttled the Giants in week 1, but they're the Giants. This is not going to be an issue. Mason had himself a hell of a season debut, was well over 100 yards, ran all over the field. You could not contain the guy. I'm not saying he's CMC. He's not, but he certainly had a Christian McCaffrey-like performance to open up his season. You look at all the various factors within this game defensively on the Vikings side. And yes, they like to rush the passer as best they can, but Brock Purdy should be pretty well protected by that offensive line, Trent Williams and company. And it's going to open up lanes not only for Mason, but opportunities against a very questionable secondary for both Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. So the fact that the line dropped here, I mean, we were talking about this just a little bit yesterday, and there were still 6.5. I'm looking at the Niners minus 4.5 right now. I already like San Francisco to cover before with a questionable CMC. Now you're going to tell me there's no CMC. Now there's Mason, who, oh, by the way, pick him up on waivers. If by some miracle he's still available in your season-long league, absolutely give me San Francisco to cover in this game. But if you have a little trepidation about that, fine. San Francisco's still going to win the game, though, even if they don't cover the number. So put the Niners in a money line parlay with another favorite or two that you like. Get the plus money opportunity there and do it that way.
See, this is why we refer to the parlay party when it comes to Adam, because he always finds a way to throw it all in the mix, but it does add value and it makes sense. So I'm not hating on it. And in order to get in on this and so much more of the fun stuff that Adam throws out there that is makes sense, make sure you are with us on Pro Football Today, the pregame party, and so on and so forth. Speaking about party, Ravens didn't really have much of a party in their week one performance. Now they're going against a Raiders team that defensively could probably present a small challenge if they don't come to the table with a proper game plan. How do the Ravens come out on top with this one and kind of put some of the snickering to silence?
Well, Baltimore is going to be a very popular survivor pick this week, and that is because everyone expects the Ravens to win this game, Kasey, and there's really no doubt in my mind that that's the way it's going to unfold. Now, I fully recognize, and for people watching, you can see the Boston skyline in my background right here. I know what the Patriots did as the biggest dog on the board and upsetting Cincinnati last week, so it's not like these favorites can't go down, but we have to remember in that game there was no T. Higgins, a snap count for Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow, for whatever reason throughout his career, absolutely sucks in weeks 1 and 2. Lamar Jackson and company are going to come out and make a statement in this game for the Ravens. You know, I just don't think as highly maybe as a lot of people do of that Raiders defense. Strong up front, there's no doubt about it. Jackson is going to face his pressure, but the secondary, it's okay. It's fine. It's not like Lamar has a bevy of weapons. I recognize that, but there is still a pretty substantial talent disparity, easy for me to say, a talent disparity between these two teams that have people look toward Baltimore. I am very comfortable with the number. And as a matter of fact, the trends are too. Looking at some of the numbers right here, the Ravens are 4-0 straight up, also 4-0 against the spread after a loss last season, winning by an average of 18 plus points in those games. Of course, we know the Ravens lost to the Chiefs in primetime, so they're not going to be able to afford going down 0-2. That means something in a 17-game regular season. Baltimore knows that. The Ravens are absolutely the better team, and I expect them to respond as such. And also, by the way, the Raiders, they have lost 7 of their last 8 road games, so it's not like this is a team that is coming in that really it goes crazy in these situations. If nothing else, they're being driven crazy by the home team.
They are. I like how you painted that picture. Speaking of disparity, though, disparity probably comes to any kind of tight end conversation, any kind of tight end excitement. I was hoping for more tight end action when it came to the Ravens, but that's something I'll be steering clear of because I don't want to be disappointed yet again. How many times can Kasey say again in one sentence? But I will say this. Would you take Derrick Henry first touchdown? I know you hate this question, but I just figured why not punish you and ask if you would go with it for this matchup.
He did have the first touchdown in his Ravens debut, so people who invested in that got a nice little payday, obviously, certainly plus money and then some. I mean, I don't remember exactly what the odds were for an anytime touchdown, but substantially better for the first touchdown. I just don't like to mess around in the first touchdown market, but when it comes to an anytime touchdown, I'm very comfortable wagering on that. I think Henry is going to have an even stronger game here in this one. I think it's a decent matchup for him. As far as the tight ends, by the way, I have already bet on Mark Andrews over 3.5 catches. So you have my seal of approval on that play if you want it.
Oh, something to unpack. We got to go to a quick commercial break here, so go nowhere.
When it comes to betting on sports, injuries matter, and Sports Injury Central has you covered all year long with expert injury analysis and injury-based picks for the NFL, NBA, and MLB. Our former pro sports doctors have unmatched experience to analyze every injury so you know the impact of the player, team, and their upcoming matchup. Whether it's articles, podcasts, player insights, or our patented injury scores, Sports Injury Central will help you keep up with your fantasy team and make more informed wagers. So make sure you follow Sports Injury Central and gain an edge at SixScore.com.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League, 2 stud tight ends. They're a legit 5 deep at receiver, 7 bona fide pass targets. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
The bottom of this field is a bunch of guys, quite frankly, that aren't on the tour, aren't on the DP tour, aren't on the Korn Ferry tour.
You know, the top 25 or so in this field, I mean, you've got Rory, you've got Lowry, you've got Scheffler, you know, all four Americans, Minwoo Lee and Jason Day. And you go to Mito Pereira and Joaquin Neiman out of Chile. So, you know, it really is pretty deep.
Game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Try and set the stage for what should be a great year of NFL action.
There's a handful of teams that potentially can compete for a Super Bowl championship.
Confusion and uncertainty this year more than some in the past.
This team looks like it's ready to make a move, but we just don't know if it's bad or good this year.
J.J. McCarthy is eventually going to take over, but it's like it's a no-lose situation for them.
I mean, they suck. They were 7-10.
Only on
watching Game Time Decisions here on SportsGrid TV. Myself hanging out with Adam Kaufman, running through the Week 2 NFL slate. As I've said 100 times, if you do not watch Pro Football Today pregame party, you are doing it wrong. You pregame with myself, Adam, Dave Sherapan, and Tom Vecchio every time there's a major NFL game. I don't think I have to debate that any further. What I do have to debate, though, or at least unpack, as I promised before we went to the break, is figuring out what Adam mentioned about giving some love to the tight ends. You said over 3.5 receptions for Andrews for the Ravens versus the Raiders. I'm just getting clarification on this.
That is the play. And I know that some people are a little scared off of Mark Andrews and what they saw in week 1 simply because Isaiah Likely wound up being the better and bigger performer. I think what that ultimately told us, I don't think it was a fluke, is that Isaiah Likely is going to be part of the plan. He is going to be part of the offense. He's not someone who's just going to fade into the background now that Mark Andrews is healthy. You know, obviously he emerged last year after Andrews went down, became a focal point, a reliable target for Lamar Andrews. And I think that he wants to kind of keep rolling with that. And as he should, you know, some offenses, you don't see it as much now in the year of our Lord 2024, but these two tight end sets, they can still be a good thing. You know, again, I am in the New England area, and the Patriots for many years, you know, whether Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez, I know we're not supposed to speak that name anymore, but those two guys, when they were together and on the field with Tom Brady, it was electric. And was part of that Tom Brady? Sure. But there was also a ton of freaking talent between those two as well. So there's no rule that you just have to have running backs who catch passes out of the backfield and a complement of 2, 3, 4 reliable wide receivers and that one tight end. You can have two really good tight ends. You know, the Patriots tried to recreate that with Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. It didn't work out, which is why Jonnu Smith isn't there anymore. But, you know, in Baltimore, Mark Andrews, we know what he is. And Isaiah Likely, we got a taste of what he is last year and certainly in week 1. And so if they can go out and reliably feed those two guys, they have something there, because Derrick Henry, I'm not going to say he's washed, but he's old. He is old NFL years, especially for a running back. There is only so much they're going to be able to lean on him. And in terms of pass catchers, you know, the wide receivers specifically, obviously Zay Flowers is great, but after that, you don't have a ton. And so Andrews, or rather, pardon me, Lamar needs some reliable guys that he can lean on. And I think both Likely and Andrews are going to be those guys. And so Mark Andrews, again, not a huge part of the offense in week 1. I think that changes. And to ask 4 catches out of him, that's not a lot. You know, who would be surprised if Andrews is targeted 7 or 8 times? I wouldn't be. So you're looking for him to catch roughly half of those passes.
I can't go against it. First of all, I'll never go against 2 tight end sets because we know tight end is my favorite position. But most importantly, I think maybe they were trying to mix things up going against the Chiefs. Now, Adam, I do see that you got some love in the college football department on your betting card for the night and maybe something in the WNBA. So with 2 minutes to run it down, let's start with some college football. What do you got for me?
All right. Well, one play I'll just sort of graze over this because it's tomorrow and we'll probably have a chance to talk about it tomorrow where people can do their research. But Indiana -3, a play that I love against UCLA tomorrow. But for tonight, a game that is starting in a little bit, give me the points. Give me the points in this matchup that we have in front of us between Arizona and Kansas State. I know it's 60.5. It's actually climbed. It opened at 54.5 back in July, got as high as 61. You can still get 60.5 out there. 2-2-0 teams. Arizona, a 37-point favorite last time out. Failed to cover miserably. Didn't even have 37 points in that game total. It was 22-10. You may be thinking, so you expect 60-plus points in this game, and Arizona in its last time out combined for 32 points with Northern Arizona? Yeah, because I think they're going to come out pissed off. And also, Arizona was missing like 10 starters in that game. Many of those guys returning from their injuries are going to be available in this one. You have two excellent offenses, two really good running games, two questionable defense as well. I just think you're going to see points all over the field in this one. I am very comfortable, Kasey, taking the over 60.5, 61, whatever it is you can get it at. But hurry, it's starting soon.
Yes, it is, which is why I needed to get your take and your bet card on it. I had some things going on in this game. I can't say I'm particularly leaning in Arizona, but I do like the over total on this. It should be a bit of a shootout for both of these sophomore quarterbacks. So don't go anywhere. A lot more football to get to. We got a quick break here on SportsGrid TV.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was clicking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing.
They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go! That's what champions do.
Welcome back into Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid TV, nearing that 8 p.m. Eastern Time hour, but we still have a lot to get to and run through. We talked some NFL, we talked some college football. We're going to talk a little bit of everything with one of my faves, Dave Sherapin. First of all, we got to talk about the fact that every time he's wearing a particular outfit, this should just sway everyone to focus on that team. So once you get a good look at Dave here, unless he's going to strip out of his clothes and just completely swap teams, which was the best part of last night, you switched it up on us.
Yeah, Case, we We had such a great time on the pregame party, and we are going to do that every single week, and that was a lot of fun. You know, making sure the party kept moving and all of us doing that. But, yeah, I wore the Buffalo stuff and had to have the Miami stuff underneath. But, no, this is Backyard Brawl. This is the big weekend in Pittsburgh. It's nighttime in Pittsburgh behind me, and I'm a Penn State guy. For everybody that plays and watches along here, Penn State's off this week. So I said, well, I'm coming on with Kasey on Friday, and I know you like the hockey. I like the hockey. So this is a Pitt hockey jersey, which you'll see here in a second. So we pulled out all the stops. Now, West Virginia is a 2.5-point favorite, and the game is at Pittsburgh, Acrisure Field. They used to call it Heinz Field. I still call it Heinz Field. I can't wait to watch it. It's good. 107 years they've been playing this football game. So it's a huge rivalry. I like the dogs in the rivalry games. I like Pitt tomorrow. The game's going to go over, Case. A lot of scoring. Like K-Dub likes to say, there'll be a lot of juice in the football game. 61.5 here on the screen. It's 63.5 out in Vegas. So that means the bad guys like to play it. Here's your Pitt hockey jersey for you. We're getting ready for hockey season out here in the desert too. So we got to always keep that in mind.
Oh, don't worry. The minute that I found out that I got a chance to chat with you, I had 3 things on my list pertaining to hockey. I got so excited I actually called it hockey, like a real hockey head. That just speaks for itself. And it's a little bit of love for Pittsburgh, which I'm only allowed to do when I talk to my best friend's husband. Shout out to Corey and Coco Coper. And outside of that, when I talk about any of the rookies, but we will get back to the hockey. Talk to me about LSU versus South Carolina. We saw some dramatic press conferences when it came to LSU and their disappointing opening performance. We saw some temperament. We saw some emotions, but that's what makes college football so beautiful. And then you've got the Gamecocks that can probably, I don't know, keep this game a little entertaining. You see the spread right there. So what do the master books read on this one?
Numbers come down. Opener was as high as 7. And there's a lot of push for South Carolina, not only plus the points, but that money line number's coming down so that, they move together, correlate together. The total's interesting because I talked to 2 different people who think that if LSU wins, it's going to be more of a blowout and they're going to go and be able to score and South Carolina's not going to be able to stop them. But if South Carolina plays well, keeps it close, actually gets a lead, and it forces LSU to come back, then the game's a dead under. So I'm of the school of thought right now before the game kicks off that South Carolina's probably going to be in it, and it might take one of those weird turnovers or punt blocks or things at the end of the game for LSU to get the cover. This one's going to be a lot closer and stay close throughout the game.
I'm a fan of that. Hopefully the Gamecocks make it a good game. I had a friend that cheered for them back in the day, and I do say that because I'm much older than everybody anticipates, but we're not going to talk about my age. Nobody wants to know any of that information. What they do want to know is what to expect out of Alabama versus Wisconsin. Wisconsin may be sneaking in the mix. Alabama had a little bit of struggles initially in week 1, or a slower start, and then completely took off and had a hammering. Then you have South Florida that's presented a challenge last year as well as the first half of this season's game. What can we expect out of Alabama taking on Wisconsin on the road?
So funny. We do Bostonian versus the book every day, me and Matt. Matt covered Alabama football for 5 years. So it's nonstop SEC talk, and he apologizes for them all the time. And, I'm the Big Ten guy. I want Wisconsin to cover the spread. I would love to see Wisconsin actually win in Camp Randall and do the jump around in the fourth quarter and actually have the game still be in doubt. I don't see how Wisconsin's going to stop Alabama. I really, really don't. And Wisconsin's offense is not going to keep up with Alabama. So there's a lot of games with a lot of big numbers on the board this week. And this one feels like a blowout. I mean, I'll dial up the Pittsburgh accent anytime you need it. And this is blowout central. I mean, this is Bama. I think they write their number. And I think that I don't want to say it corresponds to the over. I think you could play Wisconsin's team total under. I think they're really going to struggle to score. And once they get down 2 or 3 scores and have to try to pass to come back, it's going to get ugly, Case.
Oh, I will say the minute that you brought out the pit accent, I wanted to try it, but I did not want to be disrespectful to anybody in Pittsburgh and the accent. It would have gone severely wrong on my end. I'll stick to my Florida gal fusion, and what tends to come out between foreign parents and living down in the South. All kinds of things get weird when it comes to this accent. Something not very weird, though. Boston College in a new era, taking on Missouri. I am a fan of what Boston College can produce. I once upon a time wanted to be a BC girl, but we know why that is, because of their hockey program. Outside of that, though, you've got this new era. You've got them starting off to a strong start. I always mention that they kind of sneak up on teams, spread a little massive here. What can you foresee?
Crazy, because I got into BU and had visions of grandeur going to play for Jerry York at Boston University back in the day. And I realized I'm going to get crushed if I go up there and play. I could skate pretty fast, but not fast enough. I would have got destroyed. Anyhow, BC, good start to the season and a big upset of Florida State, but Florida State's not who we thought they were. Missouri, I didn't even realize it till today because I never looked at the rankings ever as an odds maker in the islands and then even in Vegas. We never looked at that. Everybody had their own power ratings, and we just looked at the games and looked at the numbers. Mizzou's 6th in the country, 7th in the country. So this is a big game. I was like, I looked at, show prep today and went, whoa, this is crazy. Mizzou's playing every game to put up a big number, to kind of prove that ranking, right? I don't know. This is one, Kasey, I thought this would not be more than 14 if I was doing it. But again, sometimes I was off too. Odds makers don't know everything. They just put up the number and then the market works and the people make their bets and we go from there. Think the dog can cover? I mean, Missouri's going to win the game. This would be a huge step forward for Boston College if they go to Mizzou and win this football game after already winning at Florida State.
I know. I kind of have split emotions on this one because, as you mentioned, Mizzou's not 6 for no reason. But then I kind of look at the title and I look at what BC can produce and I look at how they can kind of maybe square off defensively. Could be some flattery engaging the under. And I get yelled at every time somebody's like, you're going to take the under in college football. It played out for me last time. It might be a little too risky business this time, but I think it could be a little bit more neck and neck regardless of what this spread is indicating. But as you said it, Mizzou should be able to come outright with this one. I know we got limited time, but give me some hope. Is FSU turning around this weekend? I mean, they're taking on Memphis. They've got to get things pulled together. We talked with PJ earlier. He said that he's on the Noles. My Tampa Bay Lightning are up in Tallahassee supporting the Noles. Tell me something good before we have to go to break.
I don't know. I'm worried about it. I think Memphis will really have a shot at winning the game. I really do. I think they can win the game plus the points. Now, the number tells you exactly what PJ said, that, they're going to go at them again. They're going to, the bad guys, the sharp guys, the rhombuses, parallelograms, whatever you want to call them. They're going to play Florida State, but they played them against BC, and it wasn't even close to being the right side. So, I mean, we got another segment to go, and I wanted to ask you about another Florida game. Texas A&M is at Florida, Kasey. What is that? They're favored
you
in
won't
the
catch me talking about. You see I try to sideswipe any Gator love, but I do have a lot of UF fans that do keep A's. So as Dave said, we've got another segment with him and myself. More football to get to, so don't go anywhere here on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
You are watching Game Time Decisions here on SportsGrid TV, but you're not just...
And the money line. So I'm just saying, listen, they got smoked. They're not going to win a lot of games. This might be one of the 1 or 2 games they win all season, Case. So if you're anti-Gator, put it back towards next week. Not that Texas A&M can't go there and win, but I think the Gators got a good shot at covering this week.
Maybe if they... actually, no, I can't speak on that. I will not speak on any
Well,
of that.
say it.
I'm going to let you be the expert. I'm going to let you be the expert in that one. I tried to be unbiased, and then it didn't roll off the tongue.
No,
so that just tells
say
you
it.
the household that I was raised in. But it does roll off the tongue very well. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I did mention yesterday my mom worked for the Miami Dolphins, so we did support that team. I shouldn't say past tense. That feels a little picky-choosy. But we grew up Dolphins household, moved to Tampa Bay, and then we hopped all the way in when it came to the Bucs, taking on the Lions for a big NFC competition. Some big injuries, though. Some bang-ups on the O-line for the Bucs, and then we know that the Lions probably feel like they could have performed a lot better versus the Rams, so they're going to be carrying that chip on their shoulder. But what can we expect from entertainment to just sportsbook stuff for this showdown?
Well, I can't wait to watch this game. I think I have Tampa Bay winning the NFC South. So I didn't buy the whole, Dirty Birds and the return of Atlanta, with Kirk Cousins and his coming back from injury. I wasn't buying it. A big fan of Baker Mayfield. I think he grew up. He got kind of run out of Cleveland and worked his way around, and now he's a secure position with a team that's calling plays the right way for him, and he's healthy. Detroit has all the expectations in the world. I mean, I have lifelong Lions fans, and the Lions were my NFC team growing up in Pittsburgh. I always rooted for them, and they were really never good. But I think they can represent the NFC in a Super Bowl down in New Orleans. Home game against Tampa, I'm surprised it's more than a touchdown. But I think it settles right around 7. A lot of people, it will be a very highly selected play in contest. It will be very highly selected play on Sunday. So I'm leaning Tampa to cover the spread. I think they could win the game, Case.
Yeah, and unbiasedly, I think the same thing. I mean, honestly, one of the biggest differences in their success versus this team come playoffs previously was the fact that a lot of the play calls were just miserable. And we now know that OC no longer sits in that seat. That's all I'll say on that. I promise that's all I'll say on that. Defensive matchups. We got a Cowboys team and a lot of Cowboys fans that are already pinning them to go to the Super Bowl. Don't get ahead of yourself, Cowboys fans. And then the Saints. Defensively, they've always kind of been in the mix. You can always count on a big play from whatever quarterback is in the pocket, but we know it's going to be Derek Carr and Olave. I kind of tried to bait Tom Vecchio yesterday to say, would you go for a longest yardage prop? But we'll see when we get to talk about this later amongst the four of us. But what's going to go down between the Saints and the Cowboys? I mean, are you on with the Cowboys?
I grew up in Pittsburgh, and it's funny you said that because one of my dear friends just texted me. He's watching the show in Pittsburgh. He's a huge Cowboys fan. Reno, it does hurt to wear the Pitt stuff, okay? It hurts me to like the Cowboys. It brings pain inside when I got to say, I want to like the Cowboys, or, I'm actually going to bet the Cowboys. I don't think so. Not this week. Now, you may have gotten kind of a mirage, like to use a desert term, like with the Saints. This might be one of those, like they played Carolina and they ran up the score. And okay. The Saints aren't that good. No one is as good as they are in blowouts like that, and no one is as bad in getting blown out. not in the NFL. Dallas at home's a good bet. I'll leave it at that. Me saying that's good or I like it is like you saying something good about the Gators. I'll just say that right now. Dallas is probably the side, and it hurts me to say it. I'm not saying it again, Kasey, no matter what you say.
Oh, you know what? As a good friend, I won't make you say it again because we
Thank
were
you.
able to just get past that Gators conversation. We were able to pivot politely. So I'm gonna repay that. I'm gonna pay it forward actually, and we're gonna move on very swiftly here. 2 minutes, but we're only going to take about a minute of it to talk about the Ravens and the Chiefs because everyone, or not the Ravens and the Chiefs, Bengals and the Chiefs, excuse me. Everybody's on Joe Burrow, and he's not good week 1, 2, and 3, and then all of a sudden they're going to come alive. I mean, I think they just have too much drama going on. And the Chiefs, it hurts me to say, their offense got better, and they know how to use it. So what do we see in this one before we talk a little hacky?
I agree with you. I mean, this is one of those ones that, like, all right, yes, they're Cincinnati, and yes, they're one of the favorites to win the AFC North, and yes, it's Joe Burrow, but there's no T. Higgins. The offense isn't the same without him. And, oh, by the way, Joe Mixon will be lighting it up on Sunday night against the Bears. So all the replacements, all the turmoil, all the different questions, I got no questions about the Chiefs other than how many points are they going to score every week? I mean, that's Patrick Mahomes. That's Kelsey. That's all of them. I'm not seeing a case. I like the Chiefs.
All right. We're pivoting to scoring, though, because I had to talk to my friend Dave about rookie camp. You get Rutger McGarty, and this guy just showed a Bruins prospect not to call his name while on the ice. The Bruins prospect comes in hot talking about are you an effing idiot, asking McGarty, and McGarty responds by saying, no, you are, and then turns around and gets on the score sheet. I mean, this is something for Pittsburgh to be excited about, and it hurts me to say it. My little nephews are running around in Pittsburgh gear, but you got a good one coming in hot for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Nothing wrong with little nephews and little kids walking around in Penguin stuff. I started doing it when I was 5 years old, and I'm still doing it, Case. We'll talk about hockey. Thanks for bringing that up. You made my day.
I had to give you something good on this Freaky Friday. Dave Sherapan, everyone. We got one more roll to go here, so go nowhere. Stick with us on SportsGrid TV.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing.
They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go! That's what champions do.
one more round here on Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid TV. I was just chatting with Dave. We had to get it in really quickly because I'm trying to time everything perfectly with the hockey season coming up, but you guys heard me geek out for a minute and give a little love to the Pittsburgh Penguins and their the rookie guy in Rutger McGrady and his perfect one-liners before coming in with a score, but a lot to look forward to. And then Dave at least helped me out when it came to feeling like a sane person supporting the Bucks and their matchup versus the Lions coming up. But I mean, look, it's Friday the 13th. We've got a lot of great games this weekend. What are some of the top games that you're just looking forward to?
I can't wait to see what Green Bay does without Jordan Love against the Colts. That's going to be one that I think will be, road favorite. The pre-game line for this with Jordan Love in was Green Bay minus like 8. So it was high. It was a touchdown. So now it's flipped that much. I don't know if he's worth that many points. Now, a boring game that I think is a good play under is Seattle and New England. I don't know how much of that I'm going to watch other than checking the score and going, okay, hopefully the winning score is 20. The other team doesn't even get 20. So that's one that I think you bet, but you don't watch. A lot of people like to do that. Sunday night has the Texans and the Bears. Caleb Williams makes his first road start. Case. You know how hard it is to play on the road. I mean, you're doing it now in New Jersey. You got to go and you got to get acclimated and you got to learn where, all these different things. Him playing on a road in Houston after having such a dismal performance, I really don't think the Bears are going to be not competitive, but I like Houston to cover that one. And then, I don't know, I'll ask you. Las Vegas is playing Baltimore, and there's not a person on planet Earth that thinks Las Vegas is even going to be competitive in the game. I can't say they're wrong. Do you think the Raiders can keep it close?
I think that if they did have a chance to keep it close, it'll be more of like a first quarter, defense has a few flashy plays, can't count out some of their defensive players and some of their splash plays. But I mean, I would contain all that to the first quarter. After that, Ravens have to come and silence everyone that just kind of made a joke out of their week 1 performance. Adam was on before you. He had a tight end prop for Mark Andrews over 3.5 receptions, I believe it was. And at first my jaw dropped because we saw no action out of this guy. But we know Mr. Parlay Party, and he's not particularly far off. We have to give Adam that credit. So it's something worth looking at, I will say. I mean, maybe they're just trying to throw the Chiefs off by not having everything go through Andrews and likely coming in. And I'll never disagree with a fun 2 tight end set. Again, favorite position. I'm always here for the success of the tight end. But as for the game I'm most looking forward to, outside of the Bucks taking on the Lions, it's probably going to be the Monday Night Football matchup. At first, I was like, this is going to be such a rough one. But outside of the fact that we get to get everything going with the Pro Football Today pregame party, we do actually finally get to gauge where this Falcons team is. I don't think we got a good rollout of what to expect. A lot of people are coming down on Kirk Cousins, but we did see some guys defensively who got paid to make an impact on that defense make impacts. I just think now they have to find a cadence together. We didn't see much of a team effort on either side of the ball. Now is a chance for them to do that versus the Eagles team. So I want to see more out of Judon. I want to see more out of Cousins. I want to see more out of everyone because once he gets something going with his offensive weapons, what he did in Minnesota should definitely translate to the Falcons. So I don't know. I'll probably have more on that, obviously, when we break it down. But I don't think I'm too far off and hoping the Falcons can be more exciting.
We'll find out. We'll hope when we reconvene for the pregame party on Monday night, which bird will be better, whether it's the Falcons or the Eagles. Better bird. And I'll leave you with that because I got to go do the show with Wetzel. Have a good rest of the night, Case. Always good to see you.
See you, Dave. Have a great night. Well, while Dave goes and gets ready for the show, you guys hung out with us for a lot. We had MLB, we had Joe Madden on, we had George Kurtz on, we had PJ, we had Adam Kaufman. You just hung out with me and Dave for a while. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better on Game Time Decisions on a Friday the 13th. As for anyone that could ask for anything better, Orioles still falling short to the Tigers at top of the 6th inning it is, but it's still 1-0. Then you've got Mets and Phillies. Mets on top 3-0. Some of us didn't expect that. Royals coming out swinging 7-0 end of the 4th inning. Marlins versus the Nationals. Nationals up 2-1. Top of the 5th. Braves taking on the Dodgers, sitting up top 5-0. Bottom of the 2nd, and it's 0-0 between the Red Sox and the Yankees. But that doesn't mean that the fun is over because Game Time's Decisions is over. There's still a lot more going on here on SportsGrid TV, which means just stick around because you got Dave, you got Scott, you got so much more action. I hope everybody has a safe and amazing Friday the 13th.